What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to conclude our authentication series, which pretty much the past 4 videos we've been doing some Firebase sign-in various ways. In this video, we're going to show you real quick. We're going to cover 2 major areas. When we hit get started and the user doesn't want to create an account and hits maybe later, we're still going to actually creating an account for that user. They're just going to be an anonymous user. So they'll still get a user ID in Firebase on the back end side. But on the front end, they're not going to have any way to really sign back in or re-access their data. So we're going to allow them to create an anonymous account like so. Now this user is logged in anonymously. From an anonymous user, you will also be able to go ahead and link that anonymous account to a permanent account. You could do that just by typing in an email and password and hitting sign up. That'll convert you and allow you to then sign up. Additionally, we're going to add sign in with Google in this video, and that'll allow a user either to link their account with Google, or if they were starting up from the beginning, they can also just sign up with Google. All right, let's get started. Okay, so firstly, let's go ahead and create the function that will actually sign the user in. This is going to be in our auth service. So right after the reset password, let's go ahead and call this the sign in anonymously, and this is going to be a feature as well. It won't return anything, but we'll call it sign in anonymously. And this is very similar to some of our other simpler Firebase authentication methods. This one pretty much is already set up with a single call here. So this is really just a wrapper for this function so that we can use this throughout our app, and then this is contained within our auth service. So that's really going to be it for that. Now on our sign up view, which is what we're actually going to use to handle this, we're going to need to add a 4th option here, which is going to be anonymous. And then with this option, we can decide what to do with that anonymous user. We're actually in this build widget here. We're going to do a little bit of logic and say if the user is, or we're going to say if the form type is equal to the anonymous form type, then we're going to return, it'll still be a scaffold, but it's going to be a specific scaffold. If not, then we'll just do what we were already doing, which is returning the scaffold with the forms, with the form data. In this scaffold here, we actually want to just return pretty much a loading page. So this page will actually just be displayed in between clicking the maybe later and getting to our home page. And the reason we're going to need this is because of that asynchronous function, which is going to create the anonymous user. There will be a little bit of a gap in between there. So this pretty much is just going to display a load, like a spinning widget, a loading widget. First let's set the background color. We'll just do the primary color for this. And then we're going to set a column and center that column. And then go ahead and add and this is actually needs to be body because it's a scaffold. And then in the column, we're actually going to use a plugin here. So go to the pubspec.yaml, and we're going to just quickly add in this Flutter spin kit, and we could just add that in there and hit get packages. This is going to allow us to choose from various customizable loading widgets, and I'll link to a nice Medium document that kind of gives you a bunch of examples of different ones you can use. So once we have that, we actually just also need to import it, Flutter spin kit. All right, and then back down here, we can add in that spinner. The one we're going to use for this example is a spin kit double bounce. And we can give it the color parameter of white. Again, these are very customizable, and there's multiple different options of what you can use for this. and then we're also just going to put a bit of text that says loading. This is optional, I guess. And just go ahead and make that white text. All right, so at this point, we have pretty much this set up. The only thing that we also need to do is we're going to display this page, but then we're also going to want to sign that user in anonymously here. So we could create a new function and call it submit anonymously. Or actually just submit anonymous is good. And we need to create this. This is going to be kind of similar to our regular submit function. Now, this all could potentially be its own class. We don't need to be including this in the sign up view, but since it's pretty small, it's a pretty small amount of code, I'm just going to keep it all in one section. And what I mean by that, like this whole view here, instead of doing this if else here, this could all just be a class, right? And we could just send to this class instead of sending to the sign up view with that new type of anonymous. But I think since it's such a small amount of code, we'll be fine to do it this way. But yeah, this will be similar to our regular submit. But let's build it out anyway. It'll be a future, and it won't return anything, so we can just leave that. Off. Submit anonymously, and this is asynchronous, and then we just need the final variable, which is auth, and that's going to equal the provider again of context of auth. And then with that, we can just call our sign in anonymous that we created at the beginning. And then finally, we just want to navigate back to the home page, which is essentially like refreshing this, so that the user, once this user, actually we're going to want to put a wait here. And then once this user is created, we'll navigate to the home page. All right, this is all looking good and it's set up. The last thing we need to do is actually call it from this button. So that's going to be kind of a two-step process. The first thing is in main, we're going to need to create a new route. So right under sign in, and actually let's just copy this and paste it below. Let's call this anonymous sign in. Sign in, and then we just need to change this type here to anonymous. All right, so now we have this route that we can use. So we just need to go to where this button is created. And actually, if you remember, this card here, or this custom dialog is just taking in parameters from the first view. So right now we have our second button route here as home. So just go ahead and change that to be the anonymous sign in route instead. That should be working if we save this and rerun it. And then we hit get started. And if we hit maybe later here, we see that loading feature. And that's definitely loading too long, so something is not quite right. All right, the reason that this is not working is because we actually need to allow or enable the anonymous sign-in Firebase here. So right under sign-in methods, just go ahead and change disabled to enabled for anonymous sign-in and save that. And then once that's saved, we can pretty much rerun this and try it again. So back here, when we sign in and hit maybe later, we see the loading for a second there, and then we're signed in anonymously here. And just to show you what it looks like in Firebase, if you go to users, you'll see we now have our one anonymous user. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add the Google sign-in button. So first step there, we're going to, in our scaffolds here, we're going to go ahead and create another function to build the social icons. So we can just call that already here. And we're going to need to create this, which is just going to return a widget. So go all the way down to the bottom after the show forgot password. And we can create a new widget or return a widget. And this will take no parameter right now. So really what we want this to return is going to be just the buttons. Let's start by returning a column. All right, and then in this column we can have our children, and the first one we're going to do is a divider. So this will break up kind of the above the email password login with the social icons login, and we'll just make that a white divider. Then let's just go ahead and put a small bit of spacing. And finally, we're going to add the Google sign-in button. Now, we're actually going to use a plugin to do the style for the button. So go back to our pubspec.yaml and add this Flutter auth buttons dependency and hit get packages. And then back in our sign-in view, we're just going to need to import that, which will look like that. All right, now we can use actually this Google sign-in button that comes with that package, and this is just going to provide the style for the button that will say, you know, sign in with Google. So this will just take an onPressed method, and that's going to be it for there. We can actually save and run this right now, and we should be able to see our Google sign-in button. If we hit the sign-in button, you'll see we have the sign-in with Google link down here. And you'll notice it's on the sign in page, the sign up page, as well as actually the forgot password page. So we don't really want this on the forgot password page. So let's go ahead and wrap this column that we have here in that visibility widget. And then after the child, we can put visible will equal this visible variable that we're going to actually require is passed in, similar to how we're doing that forgot password button. Now when we call build social icons, we can actually, instead of calling it as we are now from the scaffold itself, let's go ahead and remove that from there and call it from our build buttons method. So find where we have our build buttons, which is right here. And let's just add another variable very similar to the show forgot password, and we'll just call this show social. And this is going to equal true to start. The only time that that's not going to equal true is going to be when we are on the reset page. So go ahead and change that to false for that state. And then we can just add this after our flat button, which is always the last button in our button list right now. So build social icons, and it will take that social or show social variable there. All right, now if we save and run that, oh, we want this to actually be a comma, not a semicolon. All right, now if we save and run that and click sign in, you'll see it's on the sign in page, the create account page, and when we go to forgot password, it is not displaying, which is what we would like. So that's good. Now we have the sign in with Google button, but we need to get it working. So let's go into our auth services here and create a new future function, which is going to allow us to sign in with Google. All right, so again, this is going to be a future, and we're going to call this I guess we'll have this return a string, which can just be the UID, similar to how we're doing when we log in with a regular email and password. This will be called sign in with Google, and it will be async. All right, now we need to we actually need to get the Google sign in dependency. So go to the pubspec.yaml, and it's actually going to be sign in. We can do this right after the Firebase auth. It's going to be Google sign in is the name of the package. So get that package, and then we're going to, back in our auth service, going to need to import it. And there we go. Similar to how we have a Firebase auth instance, let's create a Google sign-in instance as well. So that'll be of type Google sign-in. And we'll call that actually the same thing, Google sign-in. And then that will equal Google sign-in. All right, now we can use this Google sign-in instance down below. The next thing we're going to need to do is get an account from the user. So we can use that Google sign-in instance to get that user to sign in. Let's create a new variable called the account. And this is actually going to be a type of Google sign-in account. And that's going to equal we're gonna need to await on this because it's gonna be calling Google. So use that Google sign in instance we just created and sign in the user. The way that this Firebase auth works with Google is going to use the Google API to get an access token, and then we're going to use that access token to actually create a new user in Firebase. So we need to get the user's authenticated data from Google itself. So let's create another variable here, and this is going to be a Google sign-in authentication type. And this we can call our auth. It's really our Google auth, so let's call it the Google auth there. And this we're also going to need to wait for, but we're just going to use this account that the user is signing into and call authentication on it. So get that user authenticated. Then the last thing we can do is just get the credential from this account, or from this authenticated user, get a access token from them, and then we will be able to use that access token to create an account in Firebase. So you call this as an auth credential, and we can call this our credential. That's fine, and this will be a Google auth provider. Actually, is right there, and we're going to need to call the get credential on that. So this is going to take two parameters, the ID token and the access token, both of which are actually part of this Google auth variable that we have above. So it's going to be Google auth ID token and Google auth access token. Great. Now we can use this credential here to create an actual user in Firebase. So that we're going to do with an await as well, and we can use our Firebase auth instance now and sign in with a credential. And then we can give it this credential here from Google. So that's good. And actually we want to return the user ID, so wrap that and call UID on it. And we can just go ahead and return this. All right, great. So this will get us signing in with Google. Now we just need to call this sign in function from our sign up view. So back here, at the very bottom where we have our on pressed for our button, we can go ahead and make this an asynchronous call, and we're going to actually wrap this in a try catch as well, so we'll catch any errors that go wrong. Similar to what we were doing with the errors when we were signing with the email and password, if we do get an error, let's go ahead and set the state of our warning variable, which is going to display that error message. So display that error message to the user if we get one. Here we're going to just need to call that new function we created. So we're going to need to actually get an instance of that auth variable from our provider. So use that auth and call sign in with Google. And then after that, we're going to just reload the home page, which should get us back to, or get us into the main page. All right, so at this point we should be able to sign in with Google. So if you click the sign in with Google button here, okay, you'll notice we're getting an error, no implementation found or method in it on channel plugin. This could be a few things, but I think this is because we don't have our Google auth set up in our Firebase console. So pull up the Firebase console, authentication and sign in methods. And we're going to need to enable the Google sign-in enabled there. And make sure you have the support email, or I don't believe this will work. Save that. And let's go ahead and try this one more time. Get rid of that error. Click sign in with Google. All right. All right, so when we print out that error from the try catch block, instead of just displaying it as the message, we can see that our problem is actually that we don't have the URL scheme for Google sign-in in our app. So actually we're going to add this in Xcode. So open up the Xcode file in Workspaces. All right, go to runner and then go to info and scroll down to the bottom and go to URL types. Or just add a new one, and with the scheme, go ahead and find that from our error message here. Copy that over to here, Good. Save this. Now, back in Android Studio, that should have updated our info.plist file here with a URL scheme, which you can actually see up a little bit further. This was not here before, this bundle URL type. Going through Xcode just makes it a little bit easier to add that instead of writing out all this stuff here. So yeah, go ahead and rerun the app and let's see if that worked. Alright, sign in with Google. And yes, this is working. So now we'll have a pop-up here, which we can continue, and you'll see, alright, well, we have an error here, restricted client, the travel budget. This app is not yet configured to make OAuth requests. Alright, make sure that the email address is set up under the project support email, and if that is set up, then everything should be good. So running that one more time, if we hit sign in, continue, now the account should allow us to sign in. So if I sign in with and I'll type in my password, then you should be able to sign in perfectly with that Google login. Just so you could see it in our Firebase console, a user that signs in with Google is going to get a, I guess since I already was signed in with email, it has both now. If you just sign in with Google, this email icon won't be here. But Firebase Auth is smart enough to know that I already signed in with my Google email back with email and password, so it just links that account and creates one account with those two auth providers. Alright, great. That is Google sign up for us. Alright, so when a user signs in anonymously, we want to allow them to basically update that anonymous user ID account and make it a permanent account. So the first step to that, we're going to actually add a new button, a new icon up here for now, which will be kind of like their profile page, but we're just going to directly link that to the sign up page, which is going to be slightly altered so that they can be converting their current anonymous account to a permanent account. So find the home widget file, and this is actually really all this widget is, or really all this file is holding is our top and bottom navigation. So let's go ahead and refactor the name of this to be our navigation view instead. And then let's also move that into our views folder. All right, and then since this is no longer right next to the pages, we need to add the package in front of it. And that should save, or that should fix that. All right, so now in this navigation view, let's go ahead and just add one more icon, just like the sign out icon. We can actually pretty much just copy that and change the icon to be the account circle. And then when it's pressed, actually, it doesn't need to be an asynchronous call. We're just going to redirect it to basically back to that home page. But let's do this with a named route. So we'll do navigator of this context, and we'll push a named route, which you can use push named to do that. And we're going to actually create a new route, and we're going to call it convert user. So now we need to create this convert user route. So go to the main.dart file, and let's go ahead and also just kind of move these around a little bit. Let's put home at the top, do a slight refactoring here, and then we can do our converted, actually it's just convert user. So we could do our convert user, and this is going to redirect pretty much the same way our sign up view does. So we can actually just copy that, and we're going to create a new auth form type called convert. So let's go ahead and now create that new auth form type, which is in our sign up view. up towards the top, create a new auth form type of convert, and then our main should work for that. Now, our convert is going to be very similar to our sign up. We're going to basically just change the title. And no, we won't even change the title. We're just going to change that secondary button that would switch you to the sign in page to be a cancel button. So right now you can see when we click this, it kind of brings us to the sign in looking page. And the reason for that is because we're using if else statements to determine what to do with these states, and in our else statements is the sign up page. So we're basically checking if it's sign up, show the sign up page, else show the sign in page. So let's make a few modifications to that. Find down where we're building the header text, and really what we can do is just change this if statement to be the sign in. And if it's sign in, we're going to use, we can copy this line here and put it down in the else, and then we'll copy the sign in and put that up here. All right, so now the else is going to catch basically any state that isn't sign in or reset. So that's going to include this new state, which is the convert state. So that looks pretty good. We also want to get the name, email, and password here. So down in our build inputs list builder, we can pretty much, right now we're just checking if the auth form type is sign up. We want to just check if that's both or we want to check now if that's sign up or sign in. And we could do this a few different ways. We could do an or statement and just put that basically write it the same way as this, but we can also just put this in a list, or we can put these two different types in a list, and then we can see if that list contains our actual auth form type. So this is basically just checking if our current state is one of these two states, and if it is, then we want to add that name field. Great. Next, we want to change this button down here that says have an account sign in. We actually want that to just say cancel and bring us back to our home page. So, because if you remember right now, the user is actually signed in as an anonymous user. So maybe they changed their mind and don't want to fill this out anymore. Let's give them that option. For this, we're going to add an else if. So for this, we'll say if that auth form type is the auth type of convert, we're going to kind of have similar, we're going to change the name of that button. So the switch button text is now going to be cancel, and the new form state is actually going to be back to home, is going to be where we want to go, and the submit button text can stay as sign up. So now if you see, now we'll see cancel down there. Now the problem here is this new form state as home is actually not set up right now. So if we hit this, it's still going to bring us back to the sign in page, which is not exactly what we want. If you remember down in the logic here, we're just using this switch form state function and passing it that new state. So let's go ahead and update that switch form state function to bring us to home when home is passed. So again, use an else if here, and we'll want to say if the state equals home, then we're going to navigate to the home page. And because of the way that we're pushing because of the way that we're pushing the convert sign-in page, we're not actually replacing our initial home route. We're placing this on top of it because we're pushing, if you remember back in navigation or in the navigation view, we're just pushing this new convert user on top of our home state. So to remove it, and since this is likely going to be the only case that we will be removing it, we can actually just do the navigator and pop off this current state pop off this current view that we are on, and that should bring us right back to the home page. Let's see, let's run that now. And you'll see if we hit cancel, it just brings us back to the home page. Great. And because in a way that you could have saw that that was already going to happen is you would be able to swipe back and that's because the second view, that this view here, is actually on top of the home page. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be able to swipe back. But yeah, anyway, that is all set now. The last thing is we're going to have to handle the sign up button. When this is clicked, we're going to have to we're not going to want to create a new user. We're going to want to update the current user to be associated with this new email name and password that is signed in here. So go up to in the sign up view, find the submit function. And actually this is getting a bit messy now with a lot of if else statements. Since we can pretty much use all five, I think we have 5 now, different auth form types. I think we're better off using a switch case here. So let's go ahead and convert all of this right here, all these if else's, into a switch case statement. So we're going to want to switch on the auth form type, and then we're going to need to make a case for each of these form types. So actually, if you hover over this will auto-populate the different cases for us. And we pretty much have all of this written out already. So firstly, let's stop printing the UIDs. Let's just remove that and just do what the function needs to do. So when we have sign in, we're going to do this. So we can remove the to do and keep the break in, because once it hits this type, it will perform that action and then be done with it. Let's see, when we have a password reset, again, we don't need to print anything anymore. Let's just remove that. This will be for reset. And then let's see what's next. All right, let's remove the print for that as well. This is when we're creating an account. So this would be sign up, and that can go there. And we can just delete all of this here. Keep the catch block though. Now, for our anonymous user, we actually created a submit anonymous function, and that we don't need to have anymore. Let's actually just remove that and move that into our regular submit as this anonymous case. And then we just need to call this just submit, not submit anonymous. And that cleans up our code a bit. Now, when we do convert, we'll just print converting user. All right, the next thing is we need to create actually the logic for this in our auth services. We need to create the logic for when a user is upgrading with email and password. All right, so to convert there's going to be basically 2 ways we can convert the user. We can do it with the email and password, or we can do it with our Google sign-in down here. Both are going to require new functions in our auth service. So let's go ahead and do the email and password one first. Right after creating the anonymous user, let's create a new function that's going to be a future. This is just going to return nothing. We're going to call it convert. We'll just call it convert user with email. And this is going to take the string, the email, the string password, and the string name. And it's going to be asynchronous. And so we're already at this, when we're calling this, we're already signed in as an anonymous user, so we can get that user and call it current user. And that's going to be just our Firebase auth.current user. All right, so now we have that current user variable. We now need to get a credential for the user when they sign in with email and password here. So they're basically going to fill out this form and hit sign up, but we want to capture an email auth provider credential for this new user that's being created. Instead of up here where we're creating a user, we're just creating a user with Firebase. So how we do that is actually, let's save this as a credential. And it's going to be the email auth provider has a get credential method attached to it. And this takes an email, which is going to be that email that's passed into this function, and it takes a password, which is also going to be the password passed in. All right, and then with this credential, we can link the user, we can link our current user to basically have this new way of signing in, which is with their email. So that we just call this current user object, and we do a link with credential, and the credential is our email auth provider credential right there. And that will link our user, our anonymous user, with this new email and password. The last thing is we want to update that user name. And if you remember up in our creating user with email and password, we do have this code here to update the name. Let's go ahead and refactor that so we can call that update name from multiple places in our function. So extract that to a method, and we'll call this update username. All right, great. And that should be taking basically the new name that we want and the current user. So down here, we can just simply call that with a wait again, and it will be update username. The name is going to be that new name that's passed in, and the current user we already have defined. Great, so now we can call this convert user with email back in our sign up view. Let's go ahead and remove this print statement here. We can call with await the auth convert user with email, and this will be email, password, and username or name. Great, and then the last thing here is we're going to just navigate. Actually, we're going to just pop the view off, because again, we already have that home view right behind this, and we are already signed in. So let's save this and actually test it out with the email. If we go to, let's cancel this. If we sign out, if we go into our Firebase console, I'm actually going to delete this anonymous user, and I'm going to create a new anonymous user, so we'll see that user get converted. So if we hit get started and maybe later, that's how we get our anonymous user. All right, actually, there's a slight issue here from when we changed this to be a switch case statement. When our auth form type is when our auth form type is anonymous, we actually do not want to save this form because there's no real form there. So in our validator up here, just at the very top, we can do a quick if statement and say if our auth form type is anonymous, then we're going to return true. And that's basically just going to say that it's, allow it to be valid, because this is what's getting called every time we hit submit. So when we hit submit on a anonymous form, we're just going to continue with it and hit true. Now we should be good with our new anonymous user. So pull back up the link up here, and we should see a new user, anonymous user there. So notice the user ID is the XZA9. When we convert this now, we can use any name and any email and any password and hit sign up. That should create our new user. Let's just check that out in Firebase console. Let's see that this is converted to an email login. Yes, it is. Perfect. So that's working. Now let's go ahead and just sign out of this. If we want to link our account with the Google sign-in button, we can also do that, but that is not configured right now. We actually need to create another new future function here. Back in our auth service, we need to create another future function, and this one we'll call convert with Google. And this will be asynchronous as well. And now actually a lot of what's already in the sign in with Google will be the same. So go ahead and just copy that, I guess. We'll just copy this. It's only about 4 or 5 lines of code, so no problem there. And then just go ahead. We're not going to return in this. We're just going to do the linking of the account. So this is going to be similar to what we were doing up here. We're going to need our current user as well. So call the current user, or create a current user variable, and that will just be the Firebase auth current user. And now we can link that current user with the credential that we get from Google this time. So these 3 lines of code here are basically going to pop up that Google authentication. It's going to prompt the user for that Google login authentication, and then we'll get that credential returned, and then we can link the user with that credential. Perfect. And then lastly, let's go ahead and update the name as well, similar to how we're doing it above. Right now in the app, we're not displaying the name, but we might want to display the name later on. The name we actually want to also get from Google. We're going to get it from our Google sign-in variable, which is up here, which is basically our user. And then from that we can get our current user, and then from the current user we can get their display name, and we'll save that into our Firebase username. So save that. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create a new anonymous account, and let's pull up Firebase while we're doing this so we can see. So we created a new anonymous account, and there it is. It's the URO account. Now let's go ahead and try and convert that. Oh, actually, I forgot. We need to actually call this convert with Google function on the sign in button there. So back in our sign up view file, scroll down to the bottom where we have our Google sign in button. And in our try block here, let's actually just add an if statement that says if the auth type is the convert auth type, then we're going to call the auth of convert with Google. And then again, we're going to do the navigator pop on this one. And if not, then we'll create our user as we were doing before. All right, cool. So now when we go into here, this Google button is going to be converting it since our form state is convert. So if we click that, okay, you can see we're getting an error message that's saying this credential is already associated with a different user. That is actually because this emulator here, this simulator device, is signed in with this one-man startup email. So just for the sake of time, let's just go ahead and delete that account from Firebase. And now, since that account's not there anymore, when I sign in with Google, since the phone already is signed in with that one-man startup account, my UROU anonymous user, which I'm logged in right now, should be converted to that one-man startup Google account. And let's see if that's working or if it's taking too much time. All right, it looks like it worked, but we did not get redirected. And then when I tried it again, we got an error that it was already done. The reason is this pop needs it needs the open and close parentheses at the end of it. If those were there, this would have been popped and we would have been redirected here and everything would have been working great. All right, great. So now our users can authenticate with our app, either with an email password or Google, or they can just skip signing up altogether. If they do skip signing up, they can always go back and just create their account and link all their current data to that account. Now, I'm not going to cover how to do the Facebook sign in, but if that is something that people really want to see, let me know in the comments and I will make a video for it. I just feel like we're doing a lot. These past videos have been kind of extending much longer, so let's just cut out the authentication from now and get onto the fun stuff, which is actually saving users' data specifically to their accounts and pulling that data back down into the app, so each user has an individual experience with their data. That's what we're going to start covering next. All right, thanks for watching. Ciao for now.